Okay, next we just have some drama with Max, who works at Notion. I don't know what his role is. He doesn't say in his bio, but there's a vulnerability, quote unquote. It's still like kind of being debated in this tweet, even if it's a vulnerability. But every public Notion page is able to leak the email addresses of everyone who's edited it. As you can see here, zero authentication, no cookies, no tokens. One post request returns full name, emails, and profile photos for every editor on the page. And also, like in this tweet that Impulsive made, he was saying like this was reported 4 years ago and they still haven't fixed it. But Max came and he works at Notion and he said, first, this is documented and we also warn users when they publish a page, but that's not good enough. We don't like this and are looking at ways to fix this by either removing the PII, which is personal identifiable information, from the public endpoints, or by replacing it with an email proxy similar to GitHub's equivalent functionality for public commits, which is what I use. Like I have like a specific email that when I do commits, because every GitHub commit is tied to an email, but GitHub will give you like an email that goes through them, which just has like your username plus a bunch of numbers instead of your real email. So that's pretty interesting. But then we have this reply from David Kramer, who is the CTO of Sentry, and he's like, what value is there in exposing the emails, whether anonymized or not? Not sure why you need email proxies here versus pruning from the endpoint. We have a similar component in Sentry and we just prune the API response to a special shape. And what's interesting about this too is like I kind of had to realize this like in kind of even the pre-AI days when I was like learning how to build APIs myself. And this might be interesting for the new people who are building APIs, because like when you're doing a tutorial learning how to code, they're always like, okay, well, you build a user entity, right? Or you build a specific entity, which is like kind of what they're doing here. Like they have like the edits entity or like the page entity with editors, and then you just like return that entity, right? So it's like very simple that you can just like fetch it from the database and return it. But then you eventually realize like, wait, I don't want to fetch the user and return their hashed password, you know, even though it's hashed, it's still like insecure to return hashes on passwords, and it's considered like breach if someone's able to get that information. So eventually, basically, you have to intuitively learn, and maybe AI will just do it for you now. But the idea that like the response itself is its own entity, you know, so there's like the user itself, but then there's like the user endpoint API response, which is its own shape, and if you're using TypeScript, like its own interface. So something interesting, and you know, kind of weird that Notion is like being like taking forever to do this, but Notion's not necessarily known to like be super quick with engineering. Like there's a bunch of other problems that people have reported over time, and I'm not a user, so I can't really speak to like how much they've been fixing things that people have reported, but still pretty interesting. And I wanted to make that API point as well.